Well, what's the crack, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of the Tom O'Mahony Show. What's the crack? It's Friday the 28th of July. Jesus Christ, you're looking well, I assume. Anyway, live show in the Roundy for the Cork Podcast Festival. August 25th is on sale. My guest will be the incredible and Cork's own Chris Kent. Tickets for that, I think they're damn near 3/4 gone. I'm getting people from all over the country are coming to it, which is tremendous. It's a Friday night in the Roundy in Cork, going to be unreal. Of course, there is the Hill too, which Chris will be joining me the following night in my comedy club on the 26th. But before that, on the 5th, we have Emma Dorn. She's nearly sold out because we had to move dates, so we got a couple of tickets released back to us. So we have a couple of tickets available. So if you want to come see Emma Dorn in my very, very special comedy club in Cahir and Tipperary, do. The link is in the show notes. Go have a gander at that. As well, of course, as always, there is the Patreon. You know what to do. Click the Patreon link. $3 a month. You get yourself the early access to these podcasts as well as the Ramble Pod. Nothing has ads on it. You get live shows. Every couple of weeks we throw a live show. It's class. So there's a midweek ramble. It's where I ramble and answer questions and whatnot to the folks. As well as that, you get the video content. Plus, it's just sound to pay for the show. I wouldn't be doing the podcast if it wasn't for the Patreons. To be honest with you, it wouldn't make viability of it. I love doing it, but I couldn't viably do it. So, ye lads, keep the show running, keep the lights on, and keep whatever else in my veins pumping in the way of podcasty stuff. Look it, I could talk all evening about it, but if you want to have a look in that link, have a gander down through it. There's all the stuff you need to know about Tom. My new tour, which is kicking off in November, of course. What tickets are available now are available in that link. And if you want, I don't know if this fella ain't any good. I don't know, is he funny? The link to last year's, this year, it came out early this year for general release. It was to the Patreons for the first couple of months. My show Clattered, which was a special from last year, is there, full hour. Sit down, drink a can, enjoy it, and get a gander as to what you'd be expecting with Tom's new show, Taking Off, which debuts in November. Right, that stuff out of the way. Moving on to today's guest, one of the most intriguing people I've ever come across online. Turns out it's a smaller world than you'd imagine. He knew me from those conspiracy guys. I knew him from his incredible TikTok and Instagram videos and the products he makes, and not least his hilariously brilliant Northern English accent, as well as his very, very good podcast called The World Around Ewe, Ewe being a sheep ewe, which is his title as well, his handle on all social medias. But Christ, did I laugh at this one. This was some crack. Enjoy the brilliant Jack Devaney. What is the crack, Jack? Is it Devaney or Devaney? We've been talking
it's Devaney, mate. Yeah. You're the second person to get it right in months. I had someone else the other day, and I think it was in the post office. They just tried to say it, and they got it right. Normally, people say Devaney or Delory or Delaney and stuff. Just add in extra letters.
Yeah. Well, welcome to my world. Try having a name like O'Mahony and meet somebody who's never pronounced it before. It's like, especially when I'm in London, they're like, so many vowels. It's like, yeah, all right. Sorry about that. I don't know how to change it for you. So yeah, Devaney, because he reads like me to Devaney, and I went to school with two Devaney lads.
Well, the name supposedly comes from, my dad always told me some story that's far-fetched, but about a Spaniard and an Irish person who wanted to get their end away with one another, but the Irish woman's dad wouldn't let it happen. And then the Spaniard said something along the lines of, well, what if I take half of your name and half of my name? Then it's not like your daughter or your grandkids are going to have a Spanish name. They'll kind of have your name as well. Apparently, that's where it comes from. But
I'm buying it.
Just be taught to go out his arse,
No, I'm buying it for sure. There was, if you looked into it, there was a Spanish, I suppose it would be an armada of some sort, came to actually help the Irish. Now, they came too late to the battle.
Oh.
But they'd come this far. A lot of them just went, fuck it, we'll stay on the west of Ireland. So what you'll find is a lot of, like, especially like the southwest of Ireland, like Kerry and edges of Cork, you'll find there's still, like, there's whole families like with jet black hair and swarthy looking, and who have no recollection of anything to do with anywhere
That's
outside
weird,
of Ireland.
that.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been to Ireland, but I never would have assumed they had a bit of a Mediterranean twist anywhere.
Oh, definitely. You'll see. Yeah, you'd see it like in Gaelic football games. Like if you watch Kerry, they've got these giant blokes with swarthy black hair. Like, and it does stand out as an Irishness. It stands out. Like you look very, like you'd fit in as a Devaney, no
Very,
problem.
very,
Like
very
you look
pale,
like
innit?
me essentially.
Mm.
You just got
I
that,
hide from the sun, bro.
just that strong Caucasian look. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's nice of you to use the word strong. I wouldn't have gone that far. Just, you know,
well, if something is heavily in one direction, I'm going to go with the word strong. I like it.
not fair. I just don't want you building the wrong image of me to the people. You know, it's not like it's a shaved head and that, and you know, scars on my forehead.
Oh,
It's,
lads, you have to join the Patreon to see this man. Good Lord, he's gorgeous to look directly
oh,
at.
that's very kind of you.
How are you keeping anyway?
I'm all right, bro. I'm all right. You?
Great, great. There's very a few times I'll stop on social media and just absolutely crack myself laughing. Like you know, it's because all social media typically is, internally
Yeah,
even.
you smirk or
You
something, innit?
smirk. It's very pretentious, like, isn't it?
Well, see, the thing that got me on it a while back was just this stupid, like 5 second video of
Yeah.
someone that had made this weird meme where it's got this sort of like music, and it's got a picture of the JFK airport sign, and then a picture of JFK just blends in from a portal, and it's saying John F. Kennedy, the F stand, it's John F. Revenge, the F stands for Fury, but in JFK's voice, and that had me fucking howling, mate. And it just to the point where I just kept going back to it every like
Yeah.
45 minutes to watch it again and get a good laugh, because just very little on there gets me.
But that
I
was
thought it
what
was mint.
your stuff got me day one. It was like, oh, this fella's outside the left field. He's out in the other field looking in.
What was
He's
it that got you then?
it was the duck's foot, and something pinged. I went, hold on one second. Hold on one second. This is the rat pencil case. 1 second now. World around once, and just all those, like, something that stays subliminally in your brain for like 7 months and is
Mm.
there, and then something makes a connection. I was like, what the fuck is, and next video up, of course, because TikTok can read my mind, was you going, oh yeah, this is my pencil case from back in the day. And
Oh.
I just could not get enough. It was like, and it's the deadpan you deliver the description with is everything. It, like,
I'm glad you like that. I'm not putting that on, innit? That's just, I'm used to it, innit? That's like my bread and butter, innit? Like, it's like a staple of the business, man. It's just, I'm so used to it. And I forget though, innit, that people aren't used to like dead animals and that.
oh
Because
yeah. See,
it's
that didn't freak me out in any way. But then from the other side, I went, God, yeah, you couldn't have, if you put too much thought into how people would receive it, you probably wouldn't put it up online. Like,
no, I only did it to prove a point to uni years, like when I first made the first one, to prove a point to uni that it was a feasible product. And then it turned out I'd misunderstood the project entirely anyway.
okay,
So I,
go.
I ended up going viral overnight. I woke up in the morning to dozens of messages asking to buy one about 6, 7 years ago. And I thought that people being weird, taking the piss, having me on or something. And I go on Imgur, and there's hundreds of thousands of people have looked at this picture I've put up. Because I would have been happy if 3 people upvoted it on Imgur, because I could have just screenshot it and shown it to the teachers, gone, yep, that's feasible. I don't have to do any more work for this module. I'm going to have a beer. But that's not what happened. I ended up getting interviewed by newspapers and shit because of it. And that never stopped for years. Just everything I'd make, they were like, do you mind if we put this in the paper? You've made a pendant here out of a rat's scrotum. Can we pop that on there and all? And I was like, yeah, just an idiot. And then I found it really hard to get a regular job, because they Google your name and not in it to say, is this guy a mentalist? Does he put weird shit online? And they put my name in, and it just kept coming up with a picture of a rat's arsehole. That's one of the things that got me in trouble with uni as well for that. I got basically a cease and desist off the dean of our department of arts and humanities, because I was apparently for, I think it was 9 or 10 days. If you Googled the name of the university, they've changed names since, but I like to think it's because of me, but it
It
won't be. It'll
absolutely.
be a marketing thing or a money laundering thing with them, won't it? The dodgy bastards. But it'll be if you put in the name of the uni, first few hits like would be university building and not on images. But then about 10, 12 pictures of dead rats in my head. That lasted nearly 2 weeks. I got emails off the guy. Met him later, art markets, craft markets and that. He's a sound guy. He was like, I thought it was funny, but I got told I had to do that. And he apologised to me and that it was just sound, just normal bloke doing his job, innit? But I made his job harder.
Just if you don't, for any, like, you're coming in, I love the fact that we did that apropos of nothing for anybody who just went, oh, I'll have a listen to this episode with no idea who I'm talking to. We jump straight into that. I love it because now people are absolutely gripped with the notion of, well, fucking 1 second, because we didn't even fully say it was what the purpose of this rat was. So what were you studying that everybody else was trying to make? I'm guessing everybody else was making boxes.
Basically, yeah, they were making chairs and shelves, and I made a rat into a pencil case. I just misunderstood it. I kept getting sort of not told off there, but the teachers would pull me aside and be like, Jack, why have you made this? I made a couple of them swear at one point. So like, why the fuck have you done that? And I'd explain it to them, with what I thought was logical. And it just turned out I had completely misinterpreted most of the stuff they asked me to do over 3 years. Nearly every time I got it wrong. And then at one point, near the end of the second year, one of the guys came to me, one of the teachers that actually sort of did take the time with me and was like, look, mate, I think you're struggling, but I don't think you know you're struggling. You clearly think you're doing okay, but we don't know what you're doing. And we don't know why you're doing this. So why are you doing this? Is you doing this because you find it funny? And this wasn't even about the rats at this point. I think this was a module where I made stuff out of paper. I weaved paper like a basket because they wanted that project was called Cultural Magpie, and they wanted us to show something from a different culture. And I just spent 4 months on an exchange trip in Japan. So I was like, well, they do paper stuff. They do origami in Japan. So I'll make something out of paper, but I can't be asked learning origami. That's hard. So I'll weave it into baskets and that and vases. So I did that out. I've got all this fancy paper from a place called Totnes, which is like a proper hippie-ish town, which is another place where I actually got a bollocking off of the mayor from Totnes. I applied for an art market there, and then they said no. And I was like, oh, do you mind me asking why? Is it something I did with the application? Like, we don't think you'd be a good fit for it. And then I saw my arse with that, really. And then because she said it doesn't fit with I can't remember if she said the vegetarian ethos or the vegan ethos of the town. And I was like, well, all right then. So, and then 5 minutes later, I sent her back a fucking an essay, just like spitefully typed on my phone with all of the details of the local fishmongers, butchers, leather workers, and all these shops and that round in the town, and the mobile ones as well. And it was like, these ones are allowed. And then she said something back who wasn't happy with me, and then I wasn't allowed in the markets there. But I went to this Totnes to get some fancy paper. And even then, I just ended up getting pissed with a few chefs and the local smackhead. And then the local smackhead was this lovely woman who you wouldn't have known she was a smackhead if she hadn't told me herself and the locals hadn't warned me. And then she walked me back to the train station and didn't even try to rob me. And I got this fancy paper, made it into baskets, and then they showed it to the teacher. And the teacher was like, Jack, I don't know why you've done this. So by the time I got round to doing the taxidermy, it was just sort of par for the course. One of the modules I made, it was something to do with, I can't remember the name of that module, but it was something to do with communication. And they wanted it to be like for a certain issue. And I was like, well, I think people are scared. Basically, I don't really know anything. My brain just seems to assume stuff, and then I take that as fact. And I didn't know that I was doing that for a very long time. I would think this is stuff I've read or heard, but it won't be. It's just stuff my head's just gone, this is a thing, mate, this is a thing, don't worry, it's a thing. So I got it in my head that people don't like the kids having phones, but they need to know where they are at all times.
Right.
So I came up with this idea for necklaces that had tracking devices in.
That's great.
that's what I thought. I thought it was good, and I made loads of little ones out of metal and carved some out of foam and wood and plastic and that and chains and stuff. Showed it to the teacher, and he was like, I did a presentation on it. He was like, everyone in the class was just sort of shaking their heads because I'd gone off on some tangent, I think, about kids getting raped in vans and that. And I thought, I was like,
That's the end. That's kind of the end game, in all fairness, of your necklace.
That's what you're trying to prevent. But apparently, that was a bit too far to go, and I didn't see that. I didn't think that far into it. I just thought this is why we need these. And other people had done stuff like, oh, this is for scuba divers. They pop this little thing on the clothes, and it'll ping if they die. And I would ask questions like, how's it going to know they're dead?
And what the fuck is the point if they're already dead?
Yeah. You want it sooner, innit? You want it to be proactive. Why? Like, I'm proactive with my thing, but even that was wrong. It was everything I did, man. I couldn't do right.
Geez, what kind of Philistine college did you go to? Jesus Christ! Do you know what they were trying to do? They were trying to make more teachers. That's all they would. By the sounds of things,
I've said this for years.
Yeah,
they were trying to make more some teachers. Of the people, they were lovely people on my course. Some of them were up their own arse. A couple of them, which again, I didn't really have a problem with telling them because it would do me head in. Like, and brown nosing as well, which it just seems to teach you how to have like a corporate mentality or something. I suppose I don't know what the right word is. But my dad always told me education's just turning square pegs into round holes.
That's it.
So you've got to try and ignore it the best you can, but play their game if you can.
It's it's never too late to like I don't know how, but through the sluice gate that is school, I ended up being a civil engineer, and I'm like, what the fuck? How did this happen? I was enjoying welding. I wanted to be a welder, and then before I knew it, I was out on a building site, like, and that lasted 10. But I not too long after, well, maybe 8, 9, 10 years afterwards, I finally found stand-up comedy and went, right, fuck all that. And but it's bizarre that you say, because I don't see anything incorrect in what you said. I was like, but sure, this is the wide open place. Do you know what? I was only talking on a podcast the other day, and we were talking about odd things that I'm a new parent in that he's 3 years of age, but prior to him, I knew the last child I knew was me. So everything is. But I was saying, I don't know if this is weird, but he comes out with some of the most unbelievably present things you've ever heard in your life, because he hasn't been affected by the things by talking to people in, trying to hide their emotions. So one of the things, like, I was asking him the other day, he'd been at a birthday party, and this is right up your street. He was at a birthday party, and you're supposed to ask, not just, hey, how was it? And walk away. You're supposed to ask them things that they would have remembered so that they learn to log shit, that kind of way. So
see, I wouldn't know that.
I wouldn't know it either. Only
I'd
my
just
wife.
Be like, was it good? And be like, yeah. And be like, sound, do you know what's telling?
Yeah. I kind of, I wouldn't know any of this. That's what I would. But my wife, she knows all this stuff, right? So she said, you got to ask him. And it's after a while. And then now I love asking him because the most unbelievable fucking answers come out. Genuinely, he was at this party, his kid's birthday party. And I said, well, how was it? He was like, it was good. They let me blow out a candle. And what you do is, like I said, you got to ask him the stages of things he would remember. And I went, and what was the candle on? I swear to God, Jackie went, fire, and walked away.
Genius.
There you go. Good night, and thank you very much. There's no more.
I'd be proud of him. I'd be like, you know what? You're right, mate. I'm not even going to correct you.
Not even. He pulled me the other day. He was looking at an old poster of mine. And during lockdown, because my wife dared me, I grew a big ass long fucking mullet. We're talking Dog the Bounty Hunter thing, just to see. And it was an old poster, and he was looking at it, and he said, I swear to God, he went, why is it called a mullet when fish don't have any hair? And put the poster down and walked out and went, all right, that's a top.
And then they get that ground out of him at school, innit? Because it'll be punished for asking questions like that when he gets to school.
Oh, I absolutely.
When they go, has anyone got any questions? And you're like, oh yeah, can you cook a burger in a toaster? Get out.
Yeah. Well, the number one thing, because they asked me on the podcast, goes, what do you think he'll be? I said, I don't care. So long as he's interesting. I don't care.
Yeah,
just so long as
people want to speak to him.
Yeah.
When he walks in, all I would want for my kid is when he walks in a room, maybe only one person goes, oh.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. As long as there's more than one person in there, don't want him being like that when his missus are out. But if he walks in a pub or something and people look and go, oh, fucking hell, Dave's here.
Yeah.
That's all I'd want for him.
He ate a bee one day. You like this? He ate a bee. He caught it midair and all. It was pretty impressive. He caught this honeybee midair, swallowed it. I'm like, gee, fuck. I went, have you stung? He said, what? I went, okay, fair enough. So it's gone. I went, it's gone. I went, why? Can I ask? Why'd you eat the bee? He says, for his honey. Okay. You do know that they don't have the honey on him, like, or in him. I swear to God, he looked me dead eyed and went, oh, I know, and walked off. I went, all right. No more, my lord. Case
That's
closed.
more like he's doing it as a threat to the others, so the others bring him honey as tribute.
I think what it was, the way I devised it in my head was that it was almost like, you know how America goes in and deals out a good dose of freedom. Do you know? So what they do is they feign an attack, and they, with a little bit of violence first, they draw him out, then they implant a new leader, which I'm guessing is probably going to be the cat, and then he just mines all their minerals. And is seen as a savior of the place.
Sneaking the honey away.
Just a little CIA moment there with the. I was like, but in that moment, he just went, I know, and walked off. I'm not asking anymore. I'm happy with that. That's good enough for me. If that's where your head's at, that's fine.
Probably not what you want to wear after talk about your kid, but I had a duckling once eat a bee, and I just fucking, obviously it kills them. But the ducklings are stupid, innit? So they'll just. I think I had 3 at the time, and they watched one eat it, and I was watching them thinking, "Fuck, there's nothing what you can do. It's either wring its neck or hope it just survives. You know, it swallows it whole. You know."
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I was thinking, "Oh fuck, it's gonna die." And the others are watching it and getting close to it, and I was thinking, "Does these know that that's one's about to die from the bee?" And I'm watching it, and then these two see another bee. And then fight over it and go for it. And I was like, oh, no, I'm putting too much on them there. It's never going to... I'd be worried.
They're straight... I'm watching hens. I can watch the hens forever because they're straight up killers. They're like the ones here, one of them is called Mrs. Padmore. Because she kind of reminds... Well, it was given by my mother. There's kind of a heavier, strong bird who runs the house in Downton Abbey. But she's got red hair. She's called Mrs. Padmore, apparently. But basically, she gives, even the Lord of the Manor kind of stays out of her fucking way. And that's this hen. The dog, like, it's now a hilarious thing. Like, she'll actually just bite the dog if the dog's walking by. Just, come on, let's go. I haven't had a scrap in days. And the dog's like, oh, fuck, I wasn't looking for it. Okay, let's go. And the hen just straight up, it's a psychopath. But there isn't a mouse anywhere. The cat does fuck up. The hen kills
the mice, and they'll go for the rats as well, best they can. But the rat will normally best the chicken, I found. But they will have the mice out.
In fairness, you would shout for the rat. In fairness, you've
it's got more going for it, hasn't it? But still, you think it might. A couple of chickens on one rat, you'd think they'd have it. But you ever seen them eat a sausage?
What, a hen?
Yeah. They ever nicked a sausage off you? Ours used to go mad when they'd get that. They go fucking ballistic. They fight each other and that. It's mint.
I think the old dinosaur comes out of them, like the old raptor comes out of them when they get a bit of meat. Because there's
they love meat.
There's that Kill Bill music kind of kicks in. You can, that that siren goes off. You can see their eyes just flaring up like they're after taking a couple of pills or something. It's like, oh, there's an old raptor in these fuckers.
I know what you mean. They can be vicious and all, though, innit?
Well, I mean, the pecking order thing really does stand, because we had a really kind of weak hen. We got one from one of those battery hens.
Yeah.
We went, they'll look after him. Will they fuck?
No, they'll fucking try and kill it.
They did.
They see it as weak. It's like they're in school. They say, that one's weaker than us. Have it. And then the one that was at the bottom will batter that one first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just to prove a point, going, right, boys, I'm one of you now. They don't like each other. I'm sure they hate each other. My missus is obsessed with the idea that if you buy fish, like, you shouldn't buy fish, because what if you buy ones and they don't get on, and then you're forcing them to live with each other? I'd have that every time I'd buy a new goldfish. You'd be like, but how do you know they might hate each other, Jack? And I'd be like, what the fuck are you on about? The fish? They don't know. They don't have friends. Look at them. They're not even looking at each other. But it's fucking...
Where do you source your taxidermy? Because now, by the way, since I become obsessed with looking at all your different, now I get loads of taxidermy showing up on TikTok, and every time now it's like, oh, clearly Tom is into this, but they show me ones, I'm like, no, I don't want to see a ram that somebody has spent 6 months putting in a fucking diorama. I don't know.
But where do you see one that someone spent a few hours ramming some up its arsehole?
That's what I want. I want What
For the regular
inspirational.
man, taxidermy for the normal guy.
This is that is exactly what it is. Because I'm convinced anoraks ruin everything, right? Don't like,
Anoraks, as in like the coats.
yeah, nerds. You know they call, like, hyper nerds ruin everything. They'll ruin anything because
Okay.
they'll go to the nth degree. They'll know all the history on the thing, and it's like, oh no, it was fun at the surface. You've just fucking ruined it. Whether it's a sport or a piece of art or anything, but that's why your taxidermy is exactly where I need it to be. It's like, yeah, that's what I thought taxidermy. Yes, that's what I needed from this. Because no,
Oh, I'm glad. I was never really into it beforehand. I,
of course you weren't.
I wasn't.
Of
I
course you
remember
weren't.
when I was a kid, my dad used to take me Manchester Museum, and I'd look at it all and be like, "Oh, this is mint," but the zoo's probably better because in the zoo they move around and that. But obviously the ones in the museum don't really, apart from the few lizards they got in tanks and that. But other than that, I didn't have an interest in it.
How did you do a rat day one then, if that's the case? Like,
Well,
what
the
do
very
you?
first one I did was a mouse. I did it. So the very first one, me and my girlfriend who I now live with back then, she'd come up north when I was gone to visit my mum and dad. And then she came up for a couple of weeks and we didn't have much to do after a few days. So we was like, well, just looking at weird shit on eBay. And then I was looking at it and saw some of it was genuinely, you could see it was genuinely shit. And
Yeah.
I'd never done it before, but I'd been working in a butcher's since I was about 14. And at this point, I was about
Okay.
21.
So you're handy
So
with a
I was,
knife.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
good at taking apart dead animals, innit? I'm good at cutting stuff up and digging holes. That's what my qualifications in history have got me. So
A
I'm
lot
on
of
the
money to be
right
made
path
at
to
that.
kill people, innit?
Yeah. I was just gonna say,
But
a lot of money to be made at it if you can kind of swallow at the moment. Like, going, all right, all right.
So we got I said I could probably do that, and I wanted to show off a bit as well, because
Yeah.
why not? And I don't have much else can show off with other than watch me dig this hole quickly. So this was a proper thing we could sit down and do together. I thought, and she was into it a bit, and then she didn't really want to touch the insides of it because it was a fucking dead mouse. I understood that, but I did it in my mum's back garden on the old dining table, and it took me fucking ages to the point where this was the middle of summer and it had gone dark. And it was kind of nice. It was kind of romantic. 'Cause after a bit, we lit a candle and that because I didn't have a
Lovely.
torch.
Lovely.
And I had a pet goose as well, which was obsessed with my girlfriend because it had imprinted on her. That was called Grace, so that she kept coming and having a look, and she was buzzing, I think, because we hadn't locked her in a shed at night. She just gets to sit with us in the evening.
Right. Oh.
And I did this mouse, and then I was like, buzzing, yeah, I can do that. Showed it in at uni because it turned out I'd had a summer project, which I didn't know I had. I didn't remember it or I hadn't written it down or whatever. So I was like, fucking, I took some pictures of this mouse. I was skinny. Yeah, look at this. And then showed them to this little group, which mortified some of the class, really upset her teacher. She thought I'd done it just to upset her because we had that sort of a dynamic, I think, in her eyes. And kind of in mine. We just didn't get along. Just the conflict of, she really cared and I really didn't, I suppose. So that was, it
And
doesn't
never the
go
twain
well,
shall
does it?
meet.
No. Fucking and yeah, so I showed that and then left it, didn't touch it for ages. And then a few months later, we had this little project where we had to bring back something from our past, and they meant and show a transferable skill.
I
Go
love the
on.
notion that from your past, you're like, I'm going to raise Nana. I'm going just Frankenstein goes off in your
Yeah,
head. Like, all
just
right,
like,
car,
I know
I
what
need
that means.
I need a car battery. Add some copper. Get
Just
it.
hooking them up to her nipples, just pulling them just below her hip, just clamping the batteries on.
And I'm going to give Nana a duck's head. That's
Yeah, because her face was never that nice. I wouldn't have
no.
minded doing that to me nan. My nan was a right cunt, man. She was an horrible woman. She used to line me and me when I very rarely saw her right with family or cousins or anything.
Yeah.
And then one time I was there with my cousins and she lined us all up, which I thought was weird, didn't it? I must have been about 12, 13. She lines them on and she's going, I love you. I love you. You're my favourite. I love you. Gets to me, looks me dead in the eye, looks at all of the others and went,
What?
yeah.
What the fuck?
So I just stood there thinking, I fucking hate you. Like,
Fuck
I
you,
know how
Nana.
horrible you are.
Fuck
Yeah.
you.
She was just a grim old woman, man. Pisshead and that. When I was 8, she was trying to get me to smoke and that whenever my dad had turned his back,
That's
trying to
it. You
give
see,
us a
the rest
fag
were
and
probably
that.
taking the rest were taking the fags with her, like. But yeah. You
Yeah, so she didn't like that. It was just
was that in Manchester as well?
Nah, she was from Glasgow but lived in Liverpool. So
That
that's
was
another
some,
reason why I think I didn't like it, because it meant a fucking day out, going
yeah,
on a day out to go and sit in this smelly old bungalow with some woman that don't like me.
with the strangest accent in the world. Like
Yeah, it
Glaswegian
was
living in
odd.
fucking Liverpool. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why my voice is weird. A lot of people struggle to place it in it, because I grew up in Manchester, but my dad's a Scouser, but his mum was Glaswegian. So
There,
it's not
yeah.
really got a proper pin on it, really.
Well, there's a funny kind of flatness to the Mancunian. There's a flat, nasally,
Monotone and
whereas yours does have this kind of scouse upswing. I listen to
oh
accents
yeah,
like
yeah, like a dirty habit.
it's we did on another podcast, myself and a mate, we pick obscure subjects. You'd actually enjoy it, obscure subjects, and deep dive the fuck out of them. So we
Oh,
ended up
yeah.
having to do a two-parter because we on last season on Fred Dibnah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did. It was there was so much to talk about on Fred Dibnah. We did the two-parter on the interesting. Oh, half day with the Undertaker. That was his favorite line continuously. Apparently, he loved it. But interesting man. But he had that flatness that always talking through his nose. Whereas you have that. There's an upswing to yours. It's like, I wonder where that came from. Did he live in Cork or something, or Bristol for a while? But
It's
clearly
that
not.
weird sort of patter from the Scouts, and it? It's just sneaks in every now and then. There's nothing I can do about it. And I've not even lived in Manchester for like 8, 9 years. And I've not lost my voice, which is weird.
No, no. Where are you?
It's
Where are you
just,
living? Where are you
I
based?
live down in Devon now.
Do you?
Yeah, I went to uni down here, and the weather was nice. And then obviously I met a girl, and I was like, this'll do.
They've got loads of rats. So,
Yeah, it's a horrible place.
and
But
then
to answer your question, where I
yeah,
get the rats and that
yeah,
from, pet shops, they sell them frozen for snake food. So obviously, being an
perfect.
old butcher, I know how to skin animals and that. We used to get game people coming in, being like, "Oh, there's a brace. Do you mind sorting that for us?" So I'd go and do that.
Right. So
Mm.
yeah, you were even used. So you were able to. That's brilliant because you were doing that in
And
the butcher
dress
shop.
and that. Yeah,
Yeah,
could
yeah,
dress
yeah.
and skin. So
Christ.
yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even considered pet shop, and you had been a butcher because I was like, that looks still pretty tidy. Because I've seen, because there was a couple of things. I think it was on Facebook for years called shit taxidermy, and it would just pop up every so often. It would brilliantly shit, like terrifying. They would try to put it in the natural pose, like a fox stalking
Oh
something,
yeah.
but it just looked like this. The fox's spina bifida, it had a stroke as well and was trying to kick a fucking habit of some sort. Like,
Mm.
but
Have you seen the most famous one would be the walrus? That first walrus they
oh,
stuffed. They had no creases in it or anything, so it's just like they just kept pumping it up with a foot pump, because the guy didn't send the drawing back of it out apparently when they first sent one over. So they didn't think to say, oh, this looks like, a half a used condom kind of thing. They just thought it's like some giant slug creature.
I was privileged. Well, I was drunk and privileged to see it was the last wolf that had lived in Ireland.
Right.
Yeah, it was from like the early 1800s, but at this stage it was about the size of an Alsatian.
And
This
like a vision.
I wish it was only a vision. Although you know what, this particular place is such a psychedelic experience with no psychedelics needed. It's a hotel in Mayo that it'll be again right up your street because the guy that passed it on to his son was a fucking lunatic, and his son is a fucking lunatic, like to the point it was an old castle that he did up. And he found he raised an old Spanish galleon that had found like a ship, and he was supposed to give it to a museum or something. He went, fuck all that, brought it into what is now the bar and rebuilt it inside as the bar. But
Right.
at the same time, his father ended up becoming the biggest fossil collector in the world or something. But that's in one part of the basement. And the other part of the basement, he became the biggest private armory collector in the world as well. And me and the missus, we were on honeymoon because we weren't going abroad. We just, oh, fuck, let's just not have to go to the airport. So we went and just kind of randomly stay. And your man took us off, steaming drunk. He went, let's go have a look at it. And he allowed us to have swords and spears and fucking all sorts. And I went, why is there a white dog sitting on the windowsill? Kind of, what's wrong with it? Was that your favorite dog or something? Because it was a shit job.
Mm.
And he was like, oh, no, that's actually the last wolf, wild wolf of Ireland. He goes, yeah, they were gone a bit shit looking. I went, yeah, but who stuffed it? He went, oh, they were stuffing those back in the 1800s, and that's as good as they could do. And it was this poor dog or wolf who was.
I like the idea though. It was just a guy breeding Labradors and a cart going around. He'd just drive just far enough that they're not going to cross paths. And he's like, got the last wolf here, boys. Sort
To
us
be
out for a couple of nights to stay here and a bit of food, and you can have it.
to be fair, that was kind of my notion. I was like, fuck off. It's not the
It's not
last.
a wolf. Look at the size, tiny.
And also it's like the last wolf really just walked in the door going, that's it, lads. We're close the door. We're gone. That's me.
Yeah, I know for a fact it's the last one. I would never trust anyone that says anything like that. You can't even trust someone that says this is my last cig. You know, let alone this is the last fucking wolf. You'd never let you. How could you let your guard down after someone's told you that anyway? You're like,
Oh,
oh, it'd be all right to walk home in the dark tonight because Jono's killed the last one.
all of them are gone.
Load
They're
of
all
shit.
gone. You'd be
That's a
scared
good
for
collection though, right? Fossils and an armory.
you like
I would like that.
he. And actually, as a case in point, Mayo was in this particular. We had only just missed a wedding, had just finished the day before, or whatever, and it was the Gallagher. One of the Gallaghers was there of Oasis, because his family are Mayo people, West of Ireland Mayo people. His mother, I think, or whatever. But there was a blowfish. Is it a pufferfish on a table? I went, class. What's that doing on a table? Is that? I was on a table through this function room. And he went, oh, fuck. Yeah, he said we had a bit of an issue last night. I think Steve Coogan, there was a bunch of these mad jokes hanging out of the ceiling that his father had just collected through the years in this function room. So there was lots and lots of fucking pufferfish and just like sharks' faces and stuff like that, just hanging, not jaws, but like their faces hanging out of the ceiling. And the boys decided to jump up on one of the other shoulders and pull the pufferfish out of the ceiling. And they wrestled it back and left it on the table. So this is actually, to say that this hotel is up your road is an understatement.
Yeah, sounds it. There's a weird pub, the smallest pub in England. That's supposed to have loads of mad shit in it. I've had pictures off of people in there because people have left bits of mine in there.
No,
just to add to it, you know, there's like half of a mouse and that magnetized on an helmet in there and bits like that, which I think it's mad. There was a phase where people would go in there, be like, oh my, where's that bit from? Where's that bit from? And then the people in there show them like my half of a mouse from when I used to make earrings. And they'd be like, oh, and then they'd buy something and then order it to there and it'd get added to there and that, and then it gets given to people and stuff. It's fucking, but I've never been. That's like, it's mad. I like people that like things in it. I find that fascinating, mate, because I want to know why that person's obsessed with that thing they're obsessed with. And is it just like personally for me, when I get obsessed with something, I don't have any sort of sway in it. So I got obsessed with chickens and now I'm obsessed with taxidermy. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Pokemon. And it just, one day you just wake up and you're like, oh, there's nothing for me anymore.
Yeah.
And then there might not be anything for a while. But then you get some people who are just into something for the rest of their lives. And that's their thing. And I find that fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I like watching people like that in it. And I like finding them sort of people online with the niche YouTube channels who are like, oh, and the bit weird shit on BitChute where they'll link everything back to this one thing they're obsessed with. There was a guy I used to listen to every day he was obsessed with the mud flood for like a year, and I'd listen to him talk about that every day. And then it just overnight, just like that, like a light switch, it was gematria. Everything was gematria, and everything was linking back to the number 42. And I was like, this is fucking mint, mate. This is mad. I just find that fascinating in it. So I want to know, did something happen to that fella with the fossils where he was like, fucking hell, if I'd had an ammonite that day, I'd have saved her. Or I mean, that would probably make more sense with the armory stuff, but you know what I mean? There's got to be something in there that's twigged that, and I like trying to imagine, what that might have been.
I get it, yeah, because there's, in that notion, you're kind of going, you could say, okay, well, I just, out of competitiveness, I want the biggest, but that couldn't drive you. Going to quarries and shit like that, it couldn't drive you. Sure, it couldn't.
Only for so long.
Yeah.
Because you've got to know after a certain point, yeah, I've got more than anyone else. And I imagine that was easy. Did you say the 1700s? 1800s.
Yeah.
That's got to have been a lot easier to at least make people believe you've got the biggest collection of something. I mean, Ireland's not that big either. And I imagine it was hard to get around if there was still wolves knocking about as well. So they've got to be, You're like, oh, if I've got the biggest collection in the area, that'll do me. Now on to spares.
No, your man pushed on. He didn't care. He did. I remember the guy was telling us that like his dad used to drag the whole family to quarries, just looking for any sort of fossils at all. It was like, what the fuck? The obsession but even to turn this castle around, like he showed us pictures. It was a proper shit heap when they got their hands on it, and he made this unbelievable hotel out of it. You're like, all right. I probably would have gotten it to a certain point and went, okay, on to the next thing. But this guy, no, he stuck it out.
That's mad. I imagine having that sort of ambition and motivation, man. I can't stick at anything me like that. I just start new stuff. I'm like, oh, this is the thing I like now, and then it's like spinning loads of plates in it. But if I'd love to be able to just be, this is my fucking castle, and I'm gonna focus on that.
Maybe that's what, but maybe it needs to be as epic as a castle for you. You know, that kind of way.
Oh, I just mean it like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah. If it was something big,
metaphorically,
you have to put your life into it.
Yeah, you have to. Like, if you back yourself into a corner,
especially if you bought it, you have properly like fucking paid yourself into a corner, and you're like, fuck, I can't sell this. This is shithole. What idiot would buy this?
You and the family living in the fucking Volvo outside the front, going, all right, I suppose we better get a fucking roof on this thing.
Cladding it with a bit of featherboard.
Yeah, I've been there. But I suppose do you know what? I'm going to send you on. You'd enjoy the Fred Dibnah episode because that man had no business having a wife or kids. He wasn't a bad man at all. He was just
he's a mentalist.
A shit husband. He was just terrible. He was like, can we go to France? France maybe on holiday? Oh, I don't want to see that happening. I've just bought a new steam engine. It was like, oh, fucking hell, Fred. Fuck's sake. You couldn't even look at the faces of your kids who want to just go to the seaside. And you're like, yeah, we can take steam engine. He was like, oh, for fuck's sake, Fred.
Jump in the car. The steam engine and we'll be there in 4 months' time.
The sea will be
You ever seen them driving round? They used to drive past the shop and fucking everyone's just hammering the horn behind them because they go into one of them conventions. But I would have thought he'd be a bad husband just because he used to fucking shuttle up them chimneys, mate. Just hammering away at them with no cables. Nothing. Off. The wife would just be, tender hooks thinking, oh, fucking hell, today's going to die. But I suppose maybe she was going, today's going to die. I have to go to France if he dies.
Insurance
all this
policy.
Money from the TV shows as well. It all becomes hers.
Yeah. It was. I don't think that was. I think it was just the fact that he was so vacant, even if he was on the property. He was like, all right, that's dinner. We're going watching the telly. Yeah, fine. I'm not. I'm out to the shed every day. Fucking. Oh, you're gonna blow something up tomorrow, Fred? I am. And the fucking next day as well. And the next day after that, I will not be doing anything with you people. This is my passion.
Yeah, that's mint though, isn't it? See, that's what I mean. To have that. Like to be I'm not saying I want to be able to neglect my loved ones, but if that's the price you have to pay for happiness, that's all right, isn't it?
But it can be the only thing that we look at all these, these super famous people. Some people, okay, fall into things lucky wise. You know what I mean? They're so affable. Like in all fairness, your collection and the way you present all the products you're making. That, by the way, Jack has an unbelievable shop. You can buy all the fuzzy danglers and
the hairy danglers.
Hairy
danglers and sausage men.
It was the fucking sausage man nearly sent me over the edge. It was like it was the mirror of
the insanity mirror with a bit of duckling skin inside, calm you down and that.
You know what? There's moments when I've been about to walk on stage in different environments where you're like, yeah, I could do with an insanity mirror or something that would be, I don't know, would like the best technique I've ever found if it was a big stage, a big room or whatever, is just to sit down. A cup of tea settles me down. I'll walk out into war.
That could be much worse.
It could, but I often wonder, you'd hear some people having superstitious things, or they'd have their thing. They would have to have their thing to calm them down. And I wonder, would an insanity mirror, just a little bit, open the mirror, little tickle.
It'd be fucking good for business for me if a big comic could take it up, wouldn't it?
Well, we do that. Do you know, we should get it to a sports star and get him to go just before.
Missed Wimbledon as well. Could have had one of them.
Yeah, just before I go out.
He's rubbing.
He looks so calm. I've never seen him on the court look so calm. Tell us, Rafa Nadal, what is your secret?
And all of a sudden he has your accent. Just freaks everybody out. Just goes, well,
He just learned it. Like, yeah, mate, it's just a dead duck in a cupboard. Then goes back to his own accent. That's all he can say.
Say that again first. Yeah, see, insanity mirror. Oh, okay, as this man having a stroke, he's speaking with a completely different accent.
Like that woman that woke up Chinese.
That blows my mind.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
That's a mad thing, that.
There's been a few Americans that have woken up with Irish accents, and what is, I mean, I don't know. Why, like, there's no way, like, nobody has asked Chinese people, is this woman actually speaking Chinese? Like, like, because as soon as it's an American doing a terrible Irish accent, like they all do in all movies. Like, so she just, top of the morning to you. I feel totally Irish after 40 days in the coma. You're like, well, I'd go back in if I were you, because
you're not quite there yet.
Quite there yet.
A little bit longer, you might be all right. I'd like to know though, with the Chinese, is she just, going there like shouting Ying Ping and that, just in a bit of a twang, and you're like, oh, all these Chinese people are just there going, she can not speak Chinese. Just looking at each other out the side of the eye, just being like, oh, this is
because that's the thing, we never hear from we never hear the point of view from so many other countries, and that's why, like, it interests me. I have a couple of mates who live in parts of Africa, and they put up videos, and you're like, oh, I did not, this is why travel is good. They don't think like we do at all, and nor do they give one fuck about anything we do. No. You need only go to France to realize, oh, the French don't bend to anybody at all. I see.
They don't even like themselves or each
No.
other. I don't think you get that impression from them.
Go on, sorry.
That's all right. I was going to say with like Asians, with Japanese people, and that, everyone says they're two-faced, but like it's what was daft about it. They were all really nice to me. So you kind of don't care if they're two-faced, because you also can't understand them when they're speaking about you behind your back. So I didn't really. It was one of the nicest places I think I've been, because I can't read body language all that well anyway, innit? So I was living in like a little fantasy world, just watching these people. They look like they're smiling and that, and you're like, yeah, sound.
Yeah, and you got what you needed from the situation. Nice people.
Yeah.
So why dig any deeper? Like,
no, I don't need to know what they're actually thinking. Yeah.
This is fine by me. I've got me and my little mirror. I'm tickling it on the inside.
Yeah. Got me searched at customs, but
I would love to see the explanation for that at customs. Like,
it'd be good on that one where they're in Australia, wouldn't it? Where all them Taiwanese people trying to bring in dried frogs and mushrooms, and they're like, oh, and I'm there behind them in the queue, and they're just waving me through. They're like, it'll be fine. Stop them pair though. Look at them.
I did see it one time, and they'd stopped this Asian woman, of course, and she had inside her jacket, she had a bag of dried duck vaginas. Jesus. And I'm thinking, right, at the time I'm going, that's mental, because she was like, they're medicinal. I was like, yeah, but okay, fair enough, they're medicinal. But if they stopped you, you could just go, just check out my TikTok. Just have a look at my TikTok. Next project, lads.
And then I get fined for they think I've turned up there for business. I've not got the right visa. So I get fucked worse than the Taiwanese. Fucking, I don't even know what you would do with duck vaginas. Like, I once cut through a fox's vagina and it stank the building out for days. They've got like scent glands near there.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't know exactly where they were. I thought they'd be more in, but they're actually quite. If you imagine like where I'm not going to get my belly button out for you, but you've got your own, I assume. If you imagine where that is, it's like there in a line.
Yes.
Obviously on the male, like that's kind of where the dick is, but it was a female one. And I was quite confident it was a female one because it didn't have balls. So I thought, this will be fine. Just cut along here, get a nice seam up the belly.
Hey, in today's current climate, Jack, you cannot assume that
you can't just call them a vixen, can you? You
no,
gotta be careful.
Could be identifying as a dog fox,
Yeah, I had to think as well about that. What was the male one? That's why I didn't go for it.
Is it a dog? I don't know.
I've got no idea. Probably sounds about right, doesn't it?
It was the first couple of weeks we were back living in the countryside. Well, my wife is from a very, very nice part of Dublin, but it was this screaming coming across the glen from us. She's like, "What in fuck's name is that?" I was like, "Oh, that's just a really randy fox." She said, "No, nothing sounds like that in nature." I went, "Oh no, you're going to hear that over the next couple of weeks. That's just a fox who wants a good rattle. Like that's all it is." Like that's what the old folklore shit about banshees and stuff like that. And because
You
Ireland,
reckon?
oh, it is, yeah. Well, we just recorded another episode, myself and McBride. There's a great word called pishogues, and it's there you again. This is right up your street. There's like malevolent fairies. A lot of people
Oh
would
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
in
Like
a
the
generation,
goblins and that.
yeah, a generation or two previous, maybe
Okay.
there'd be a lot of people would have went, all right, I don't know if I believe in it, but I ain't fucking crossing it. So we kind of presented it as if we deeply believed all this shit, like, because why go against it like everybody else would, going, yeah, load of shit.
Yeah.
We're like, this is what's happening, people. Get your shit together right now. If you throw water out the door, always shout first. Might hit a fairy in the head. Just saying. Also, Jack, if you on May Eve, if you find a rotten egg
What's
on
May Eve?
the eve before, the night before
May.
it turns May, if you
Okay.
find a rotten egg anywhere on your property, you're fucked, mate. You're done.
Why? What's that mean?
Somebody,
Baron.
yeah, another landowner has either summoned basically the fey folk on you, and nothing but bad shit has happened. Oh, but here's one. You probably won't ever come across the rotten egg, but if you ever see a whistling woman first thing in the morning, if you're heading out to do a bit of work, go home. You're fucked. The day is ruined. Never.
Can't be having happy women about it.
No.
No one whistles when they're sad, did it?
No.
Fucking,
And them happy women, they're only up to trouble. You know it.
especially early in the morning as well. You
Oh,
don't want to know when she's had a good night.
no.
You want to be
No,
thinking,
no.
I've never had one walk away from you like that. Shutting the door on them and that, and they mope away into the taxi. You want one skipping down the road, whistling away. You think, she's coming back tomorrow. Fucking,
I'm getting a good review on Yelp over that one. That's good.
yeah.
But yeah, there's there's the Fey folk, but that was what they recommend. Now I've heard different people argue that it's kind of a possession of somebody who has died. It's a continuous person. So say you died, but somebody, and your funeral is about to happen, and somebody didn't wear an item of your clothing on your behalf to the funeral, whether it was a scarf of yours. I'm not suggesting you wear scarves because that's a big statement.
Yeah.
But
I'm
you know
glad
what I mean?
you're not putting that out there.
No, I'm not. This is metaphorically speaking, scarves. I don't want anybody to just immediately assume Jack wears scarves. But if they didn't wear it to your funeral, that's you trapped in the netherworld, and you become a banshee essentially because you're not allowed to cross over. Yeah.
You have a few things though, don't you, about death and that over there? We don't really, from what I know about our, if you want to use like culture and history, we don't have that much apart from at most funerals. You're probably going to have, or at least see people have a scrap. That's about it. You have the whole, don't use cover mirrors and that. And
they used to years ago, but again, it's becoming quite like the UK and America. It's kind of washing out a fair bit, like that kind of way. It was, if I say even years ago, I don't even remember that, but I've heard of things to that extent. But it's just getting washed out with westernized, which is like come on, whereas it's fun to have traditions of some sort. Like,
you want something, don't you? Like I say, I can't think of any for us. My dad, when I was a kid, at New Year's Eve, even as I got older, to be fair, if I was there, my dad used to make me walk around the house from the back door to the front door with a slice of bread, handful of salt, and a piece of coal at midnight.
That's a very Irish thing to do.
Is it?
Yeah. For sure. I mean, there has to be Irish somewhere with a name like like yours.
Yeah.
There has to be Irish somewhere there.
I never knew where it came. As I got older, I just thought it was so he could kiss my mum without me seeing. Just keeps me out of the way for a couple of minutes in it. I'd probably just get distracted in the garden anyway, just see something else.
Oh, you know what he's like? Give him three
random
random things and he won't be back for an hour.
Come on, we got 2 minutes.
A slice of bread, some coal. Yeah. Look, whatever you got, just put it in that kid's hands. And
he remembers shit, so it's got to be the same every year. Write it down on the back of the calendar. Fucking, they got the new calendar for that Christmas. Just early, just for that.
Oh, Jack's shit. Yeah. Get that together because we need
disposable barbecue. Give us that.
I thought they were illegal. Yeah, they were illegal, but I bought 10 last year, so we can fucking keep the shit going.
They're like light bulbs. We've still got the good ones.
Yeah, the good ones. Yeah. Come here. I've taken up enough of your time. I haven't even gotten to any of the things, but I don't want to keep you all
Fire
evening.
through them, mate. I don't care. If you want to get through them, honestly, I'm not asked.
It's
But if you want to get, if we're done, we're done.
no. Do you know what? I like the organic vibe rather than going right, Jack. Now that I have you, fuck that. I don't ever do that anyway.
Yeah,
Like, but I had just, do you know, because rarely do you have to hit anybody. Because I knew there was a good banter out of you anyway, regardless. But rarely do you have to do. I don't like this, to my own ill fate. I don't do a podcast how you're supposed to do it. I do it. I kind of back the chat. You know what I mean? And if we'll get good crack somewhere in it, but other people do it like a magazine where we go, okay, now Jack, we're on to
this is question A, question B.
We're on to this. Let's spin the wheel of where Jack, you know.
Yeah.
No, thanks. Sorry. And I find the people that have been listening for the last couple of years go, I love listening in because it doesn't jar with you. Oh, great, we're on to that bit where he asks Jack, you know, what's the biggest snot you've ever found? You know.
Yeah. Fair, man. Nice. I've enjoyed it anyway, you know. It's nice.
Yeah. So we got to bring you. I got to show you the new place. You're going to like. There's no end. We found a grasshopper. I haven't seen a grasshopper since I was about 5.
Really?
It was fucking huge. This thing. It landed on the missus' leg. We're up at the new place or whatever. Fuck. To like, I know we're like you make with your taxidermy. It's almost like you're exhibiting animals to the best of their ability in a way, but to watch this shitting thing jump at least 8 feet in the blink of an eye, it immediately made me went, oh, we're kind of shit. That thing just jumped 150 times its own body in under the speed of a light.
Yeah, but you could flick it in the back of the head and kill it.
That's the only thing.
Not much to be scared of.
That was a valid point you made there. But I just, immediately in my notion, I went, God, I'd love legs like his.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Spiky and that as well.
Oh,
I'd always be showing them off. I had spiky legs, mate. Be like, look at these, mate. I'm like a lizard, mate. Look at that. I'd fucking love that. I'm like a fucking toad. Yeah, they'd be mint, wouldn't it, though?
Why doesn't Jack wear trousers? Have you not seen his fucking legs?
Not seen his legs.
Would you wear trousers?
Does he work out? No, he's just like part frog, man. It'd be fucking mint, mate.
I'd fucking love it.
I would. I wouldn't mind if crickets were like the size of dogs, though, and all.
That's kind of what got me going. I was like, I wish he was a bit bigger because we could maybe train him. Because I could definitely find a use for him. Just, hey, you wouldn't go up to the fucking gate, would you? Because it's pissing out. And it's like fucking 60 feet away. Would you jump to the gate for me and jump right back? Because I think
because he'd be there in half the time, wouldn't he?
That's what I mean.
Sort of size. He's covering 60 feet if he's the size of a Rottweiler.
Yeah. So like,
he's there before you even think you're there.
Amazon have just fucked that box outside the gate, and I don't want to get drenched. Would you hop out and get it? No worries. Yeah. In your cricket voice, and it's gone back.
Little magnet on the cricket, and that just collecting your bits for you.
He's even got, he's got 6 hands, man. He doesn't. He's all around.
Cool. Just hold them at the front and then just waddle. He just jumps a little bit shorter of a distance.
Exactly. And you have a podcast as well. Have you listened to your podcast?
I do, yeah. I've got 2. I've got World Around Ewe's podcast and Truth Seeking.
Truth Seeking, yeah, because I was kind of dipping back and forth between the two. I was listening to Zombies this morning. Oh, yeah, it was exactly what I hoped it would be.
Yeah, the ramblings of a madman, someone described it as. It's from when I had a radio show, so they're all from a few years ago. So I've learned more since then and sort of, suppose, disregarded some of the stuff I believe. But I'm still very confident that like the Fae are the Greys and the Greys are the extra dimensional entities. Everything feeds back to them, mate. I fucking, like, I've been watching X-Files recently, innit? And I found it well relaxing because I'm watching that and I'm not seeing hidden messages in it because it's all there, like on the screen. And that's so relaxing, man. Because everything I could probably sit down and watch an episode of Emmerdale and think it'd be about monsters. I just think there's hidden messages in it, and I'm like, oh, this is about such and such, and you know.
I was going to suggest another podcast, but this was it'll bend your brain in half. Is a friend of mine called Those Conspiracy Guys.
Oh yeah, I've listened to that. That's
have you?
Show me. Yeah.
I was on a couple with him. Like, well, I do probably 3 or 4 episodes every season with him. Now I ruin it for deep.
So did you? This used to be Buckshot then.
Yeah, it used to be Buckshot, but everybody kept on calling it the Tom O'Mahony Show. So I was like, for fuck's sake, it's pointless.
I suppose that's better for branding, though, as well.
It is, but I guess exactly.
But no, I've heard your voice, then, innit? That's fucking.
Oh, you definitely have, yeah.
Yeah.
So But we did, yeah. But I ruin everything with dick jokes. I just can't. We'll be going deep into like the Oklahoma bombing, and I'll find a way of crowbarring in something penile. There'll be something penile in there. We did an episode.
It just pops up.
I just can't help it. It erects itself into the scenario, and I can't. It
eases it though, doesn't it? Eases the tension of it.
It takes
talking about a lot of people that died, you know.
Well, we did a true crime one on Dennis Nielsen, the Scottish guy.
That was a big one. I remember one of the facts that you gave from that. I was watching the David Tennant one with my missus, and I was like, you know, he used to get his bum all out, mate, and hang it over the edge of the bed so people could bum him in the night, and that he was hoping that would happen. And she's like, they're not going to talk about that in this, Jack. They're not going to bring that up in this. Like, meaning, you know, the TV show, David Tennant. I was gutted that wasn't a part of it.
Amazing.
They didn't ease it in there. But
I bet Tennant had that. His agent had that written in. It's probably specific. He will never hang his hole off the edge of a bed. Like, it's just, you will never.
This man was Doctor Who. You can't have him do that.
Fucking exhaust pipe hanging off the edge of a bed, just hoping to get bummed. Are you fucking animals? He will never get another gig. He might be the next James Bond. Don't fuck it for him. Like, but
that'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Apparently, though, some keen-eared person reckoned we referenced dicks. Something ludicrous. I don't know how true it is, but in the 4 or 5 hours we did, some through hill or bites, like they reckon 411 times.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. But to be fair, Dennis was bumming a lot of people, like, and getting bummed.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know,
if there was a guy to bring it up with, then fits into that more than it fits into the Oklahoma.
Right enough. Yeah.
That was Tim, wasn't it? The Oklahoma City bombings.
Yeah. And the what was the other one? People didn't get angry at me, but, well, they kind of did a bit. It was Israel. What was your man's fucking name?
Israel Keys.
Israel Keys. Because I pulled. Did you listen to that one?
Probably, but it'd be a while back.
Gordo he was just kind of took the headphones off and walked out of the room, because when we got to the very end, I went, he's full of shit. I went, what do you mean he's full of shit? And then I broke it all the way backwards. I went, oh my God, this fellow was a complete fucking Walter Mitty. He was full of shit. And that was the one that now loads of people are really nice, but they're like, why the fuck did you ruin an episode from? You're right, but you fucking ruined the episode.
That happens, and people get mad. They're like, very defensive over.
It's funny. In fairness, I think also they don't go too hard at me, because they know I'm a fucking dick joke merchant. Like, but in Gordo, I mean, he's got people that would tattoo their face for him. Like,
that's mad.
Like on a level that you cannot even fucking grasp, Jack. Like, that's mint. Phenomenal. Like he would never have to rent again in the world. People would just keep on putting him in their houses. Like, they fucking love him.
That would be terrifying though, when it goes.
He said it himself. He goes, every one of them, I would wake up with a penis on my lips. Everyone. It wouldn't, because we did, what's them? Rasputin. Now, in fairness, Rasputin was supposed to have a 13-inch knob. So needless to say,
it's supposed to be in a jar somewhere, in it, or something, in a museum, supposedly.
But we kind of went digging, and it would seem no. It would seem no. It was, they were claiming it was, but it's like, that's not even a dick. But I mean, you'd know, if you looked at it, you go, nah, not having it. I've seen enough penile things, albeit on dead animals. But
I'm glad you clarified again. He wears scarves. He stares at penises. You know, getting it all out there, eh?
Oh, fucking class. Listen, I'm going to put a link to your website in the show notes as well, so people can go immerse themselves in the world around you and see exactly what I'm fucking talking about. But Jack, this has been an absolute joy. Thanks a million, man.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Thanks a million, Jack. Class. Have a look in the show notes so you can find Jack's link to all his unbelievably funny videos and his his products that will absolutely blow your mind. Oh, that was fun. We'll do that again. We will do it again. We'll go back and forth for sure. This is going to be the start of a beautiful relationship through podcasts. Subscribe if it's your first time ever listening. Hit the bell if you are on Spotify. Do give us the 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. If it's the 5 stars or a thumbs up, it does help people to find it. But if you haven't done yet and you go, yes, I've always listened to that podcast and I'm on Spotify, back up right now and hit the 5 stars. And less than that is no use to me at all. Hit the bell too, because it'll arrive into your phone every Friday then. And you won't miss a beat. You won't miss a beat. It'll set you for the drive home or whatever you're going to be doing throughout the day on Friday. Like I said, all the usual things like Patreon, tour tickets, the comedy club, the live show, which I'd love to see a load of heads at. The live show in the Roundy in Cork as part of the podcast festival down there on the 25th. Everything else, just have a look at that. Just have a look at that link. If you want to donate something to the show, do. If you want to just share with people, that'd be fantastic too. Other than that, go on away. Have a mighty weekend. And I'll talk to you again next week. Good night, good listening.